Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In our previous lesson, we understood HTML structure and we wrote our first line of code using the heading tag. In today's lesson, we're going to explore some common HTML tags. We're going to use them in creating a website. What are HTML tags? HTML tags are used to create and structure content on a web page. Remember I mentioned in the last lesson that without HTML tags, you cannot have your containers to hold content to be displayed on your web page. They usually come in pairs, an opening tag and a closing tag. If you look at this example here, you notice how we have opening and closing tags. The opening tag doesn't have a forward slash, but the closing tag has a forward slash, then with the name of the tag inside of it. Alright, let's go to the next lesson. So let's look at the first tag that we'd like to explore, which is the headings. So for the headings, they have different levels. We have from H1 to H6. The purpose of the heading tag, which it's written in this manner, is to create headings. You use H1, it's the largest. You can see the illustration here. When you use H2, it's the second in the hierarchy. So you proceed from H1 to H6, so from the largest to the smallest. You can see the example here. Next, we have paragraphs. What the paragraph tag does is it creates a paragraph or text. This is a good example of semantic HTML. So it means exactly what it says. Paragraphs are used to create blocks of text. So we use the P tag, just as you've seen in this example. So we use the P tag and we have our content inside, and this is how it is displayed on your web page. So let's now explore more HTML tags. We've talked about the H1 to H6. We talked about the P tag. Next, we have the A tag. We basically see this as the tag that helps you create a hyperlink. All right, if you want to add a URL or add a link to another page, you have to use this tag. So it links to other web pages or locations. And in this case, we have an attribute here. Call it an attribute. So what this href leads or points to is that it specifies the URL of that linked page. We have the image tag. The purpose of the image tag is just to embed an image. All right. So we use it to display pictures. So when you add a particular link to an image here, it displays it on your web page. That's what this src attribute does. It points to a URL where an image was or is located, and it somehow imports it and shows it on your web page. While the alt attribute, it provides an alternative text for image. You will see the usage of alt attribute in the case of search engine optimization or for accessibility. So it comes in handy. But we'll explore that later on in the course of the class. So yeah, I briefly touched on adding attributes, but let's see it again. Attributes provide additional information about HTML elements, right? They are placed inside the opening tag, just as you saw in the previous example. Now we have another example here. We have the A tag, which is used for hyperlinks. So you notice how this href attribute points to the particular URL. All right. So if by the time you write this code, you notice that what is displayed on your browser is the click here. And when you click on that, it takes you to this URL. Don't worry, you're going to actually write codes, but I need you to understand the basics first. So href is an attribute that specifies the URL of the link. So we have a bunch of other tags which are going to explore, but this is like an overview. You can pause your screen to read through and see their uses. All right. So let's get straight into coding. So I'll take you to my VS Code. I'll try to split my screen because I would want everything I'm doing to be displayed. I'll try to clear this up and I'll use the shortcut to draw up my HTML boilerplate. So what I do on my keyboard is I press the shift and exclamation, then I press enter. When I press enter, it draws up the boilerplate, so I don't need to write the whole structure for the page. So let me try to wrap this up. A quick one, guys. I really want you to remember to always turn on your, remember to keep your autosave on. Let me see. Okay. Go to file, so you can see mine is ticked. So make sure yours is ticked just in case something happens and you know you are not able to properly do your Control S or your save. It will auto save whatever progress you've made in writing your codes. So please make sure you have that on. So back to where we are. So let's explore some of these tags and attributes and use them, you know, write the codes. So yeah, we could change the title. You know, in our title tag we have documents as by default of the boilerplate. So I could change this to common HTML tags. And you know, whatever I want to be displayed in the browser has to be in the body, right? So let me see my ports. And that is a bit. I want to see my port. Yeah, remember you have live server installed, so yeah, this is possible. So yeah. Now I can split back my screen. You can see that it's blank because I don't have anything in the body. All right, well, let me split my screen so that we can work on something together and you see it being displayed in real time. So we've explored a lot of tags, so let's like do it together. We've done heading and paragraphs, so I won't be repeating that. So let's try link. So I'm adding a comment. So these are the comments in your HTML. All right, so let me just illustrate what I'll be writing underneath it. So we have link. So under here I want to have a tag. So the beautiful thing about VS Code is it gives you suggestions, so I don't need to rewrite the code from scratch, but I advise you to write from scratch because you know you're starting out, so you can type them so that you get used to it. So this is where I'm going to put my URL because it has given me a sample, right? So let's look for your favorite website. Let's look let's try Easiest. I think Easiest is like my favorite website right now. Yeah, so I'll copy the URL to Easiest and I will place it inside of here. So I'm going to put it here. Paste. Yeah, good. So whatever I type here is also be displayed on this page that will now be able to redirect me to that link. So let's say I type go to Easiest or click here. Anyone you want, click here or go to Easiest. Click here. So you see how it's displayed on my page. All right. So when I go back to the page and I click on it, it takes me to Easiest. All right. You will notice in the search bar or the URL bar how the URL is being changed. So that's how you use your A tags. All right. So let's look at another one. Let's look at image. I love to properly format my. So let's look at image. I'm going to add a comment to show that what I'm typing. So we have image. Right, so how do you add an image? Remember what I said, we use the image tag. So we have a table here, so use the image tag. All right, so I use the img. So even when I type it in VS Code just automatically, you know, give me suggestions. So you give me the src attribute. This one, in the course of the class, don't worry, you understand what it is, but we currently do not need it. So yeah, in my, I'm going to include it. So you're going to notice how the image tag doesn't really have like a closing tag because it's a self-closing tag. So it doesn't really have the / open and close stuff. So let's say I want to add an image, all right? So we can go to pexels.com, and find images there. Then we'll just copy the URL, put it inside of here, and you see how it's embedded. All right, so let's look at this beautiful woman. Oh, do you like flowers? Okay, I like flowers, I guess. So let's just look for an image. Okay, let's take this one. Copy the URL. So I'm going to copy the link and I'll put it here. All right, let me go back to this page so that we can see everything happening in real time. So I'm going to try to add like a little alt description. All right, so you can now see the purpose of the alt description. In case where maybe your user has internet issues or is not able to access the page. So the reason why we use the alt attribute is just in case your user is not able to view the image. All right, your web browser is going to describe that this is the image that was intended to be placed here, and it's also good for accessibility. Right, if people are on your page, or those with disabilities, and they're reading through your page, and they're using screen readers. When they come to that part of your page that has an image, screen readers can help describe to them that it's actually an image that's here with blah 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 blah. Oh, let's look at why we're not getting an image. So there are two ways you can still add like an image. You can choose to import. Let me show you. Let's try the import part, then I would explain to you how you can use the link image. Okay, not this folder. Yeah, so I'll copy an image just to put a picture. Should have some pictures. All right, so let's try this. All right, so I'll try to copy it. You can just drag and drop, but right now I just want to copy it to the folder I want it to be. So make sure they're in the same directory so that you can easily access your image. So yeah, I have it here, so I can go back. Yeah, it's displayed here already. So let's yeah. So instead of this, I will clear the URL. Oh, I will come back to this. I'll clear the URL. Now that I have it here, I can just write the title, because you can see the directory inside of this folder, and then I have basic sometimes. So you can just choose to call the image name as it is inside of here, or you can / then try to go up a level and select the image. When I select the image, you see that it starts showing. All right, so why it's so enlarged like this, or you get, because we've not tried to use CSS, or try to resize the image ourselves, because that's where styling comes in. But for now, at least you know how to add an image, right? So let's now go back to try the URL part so that you get more clarity. So I'll try to visit the image itself and get the real address. I guess that's why we may be having an issue. Sit. Okay, this is blocking my screen. Copy image address. I think this worked. So let's go back. Split my screen. I'm going to split my screen so you can see. Yeah, there we go. So let me paste the URL inside of here. Let's see what happens. Now it's working. So we just need to copy the image address itself so that it shows. Remember I said why we have the image enlarged like this, because we do not have some styling going on. All right, so now you know how to use the image tag. Another one we'd like to explore is the unordered list. So you're going to see how the unordered list. So I will try to comment this out, because it's taking over my page. Control / yeah. So I've commented it out, that's why it's no longer showing. So let me now try the unordered list. So I may not like cover all the tags, but at least you have the table. If you need a slide, you can comment that you want the slide. Now forward it to you or show you the link so that you can always access the updated slide. So yeah, let's try the unordered list. So use the UL tag. So use the UL tag. Press enter. Then you also have to use the list tag so that you can list items that you want. Alright, I'll try using the shortcut because I don't have time to waste. So yeah, this is a shortcut for me to have like three list items. I can type item 1 and item 2 and item 3. Hopefully this video doesn't get too long, because I wouldn't want it to get too long. So now you know how to use the unordered list. Same goes for ordered list. So usually you have bullet points for unordered list, but when you're using a ordered list, you would have like maybe 1 2 3. So yeah, let's try the ordered list. I like to comment and so that when you go back to reading, you would understand what it's used for. We have ordered lists. Control forward slash. I need to comment that out. So remember, you need a list to actually display those list items. All right. So for an ordered list, let's look at it. Mm. I love the way VS Code gives a suggestion for me. All right. I'm trying to properly format it. That's why. So I have lists. Uh, so first, second, third. So you can see how it's being displayed. So for the ordered list, you have numbers following their order, but for another list, you have bullet points. So let's try table and division. I'm trying as much as possible to cover so much of them, to cover so much of these tags so that it's easy for you to really see what they do. So let's try. I don't want the video to get long at the same time, so I'll do my best. So let's look at tables. When we want to create tables, you can use the table tag, right? So for me, because I would want it to have a little border so that it makes sense, you can use table row, and I love how VS Code gives suggestions. So yeah, I have a table with a border of 1. I would change, so I would remove this one since I already have. I don't know this one because the correct tag is this. This is the correct tag. Okay. But I had like, okay, because VS Code was suggesting. Okay, let's do that again. Table. And this is our table. Then table tag. Press enter. Can add a border. Remember what we said about attributes, alright? It gives more information about the element. In this case, now we have the table. So I will need to add like a border of 1 so that at least you see the thickness. You can see something is being formed already. So yeah, we have to add our table row. It's just like you're building or drawing a table. So we have to add our table row. So instead of our table row, I'm going to have a head, alright? A table head. So let me include that. I have a table head. So I'll put some content inside. Let me duplicate this. I'll put some content inside. There we have header 1. You see how it starts to nicely be displayed. And we have header 2. Good. Now, you notice how the table is being formed. Nice. So I want to add another row. Just as I had the previous one, I want to add another row. Okay. So yeah, let me go. So you notice how the row is being created, alright? The row is like the horizontal. So I also want to use the TD. You can see that from our summary. Let me show you the summary. So I've added another role again underneath the header. So let me quickly show you the summary so you see what the TD is for. So TD defines a data cell in a table, all right? So it's used within the TR, which we have done here, to create data cells. So you notice how when we use the TD tag, we were able to create a cell inside of our table row. Inside of our table row, this is a row. We've created a cell, a data cell. That's something that can hold content inside of our table row. You can see that we're not writing directly inside the, not writing content directly inside the table row. Okay, we have TD to hold that for us. All right, and even when we wanted to create the header, we had TH to hold that for us. So essentially, that's what it does. All right. So what else do we need? You can just duplicate it as you wish. Okay. So what else do we need? What other tags do we want to explore? Let's try division. Division. Yeah. So use the data tag for that. All right. Well, let me put some comments. Control forward slash to comment it out. Control forward slash. Yeah. Here we go. So underneath it, I want to use the div tag. You can see from our slide what the div tag does. So what the div tag does is define a division or section, right? So it groups block level content. So as you proceed in class, you see that Just as how we have paragraph and it was a block level element or block level content, it groups stuff. That's how we have division. All right. So what division does, that division tag divides the division of section. So you want to enclose and you want to separate stuff, just like almost like when you're writing an essay or you're writing a web page and you want to group stuff accordingly. If you look at easiest, you notice that this is a div that is holding this image and still holding this text, and so there's an entire div that holds it. There's still another div that now holds this text on its own, another div that holds this paragraph on its own. There's still another one that holds the button. So things are grouped in sections essentially. So you can even have this nav bar in one div too. Yeah, so it depends on how you want it to apply. So let's see how we can use the div. So I have a div here, create a div, press enter. Then because I want to remember that divs are used to hold block level content, so I'm going to try to use the p tag since p tag does so. We have, this is a paragraph. So my div, let me scroll, you guys. So even when you try to inspect it, you're going to notice too it's actually in a div, right? So here you go, you have it in a div. Yeah. So let's move on. Yeah, what other tag do we want? Oh, span. Let's try span. So let's see. Let's try span. So what does span do? Let's go back to our slide. So span defines a span of text, so it helps you to group inline content. Let's just see how that applies, because it will sound like gibberish, but let's see how that applies. So let's say I have a paragraph. All right, I have a paragraph. Let's see, I want to illustrate, I want to illustrate how span is used, right? So what span does is that it lets you do some inline styling. So inline styling, what I mean is that you are adding the style to that element, all right, to the tag. Like you can be able to break off things inside of the content and then add whatever style you want. So let's ask how it's defined here. The span defines a span of text and it groups inline content. So we're going to see how it's going to group the inline content. So it will kind of separate it from the rest of the content of that particular tag that was used to hold it, right? So let's assume I have, this is a word and I want word to stand out, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll now come here and introduce my span. All right, so I will do this, my span tag. Yeah, introduce my span. Okay, don't worry, I'll bring back the word, don't worry. So I'm going to introduce my span here. All right, and I would try to break things off. So let's say word, and I want this word to be separated from the rest of the entire content that was initially inside this paragraph. So I've introduced my span, so I can use the style attributes and add like a style, a little style. So let's say I want to give it a color of blue, or what's your favorite color? Let's try brown. It's not my favorite color though. So you notice how it now breaks things off and groups this content separately from it and gives it the style that I want. So that's what span does. All right. So let's recap. Span defines a span of text. It groups inline content. All right. So we've seen how it groups inline content. We've seen how it applies. So that's amazing. Let's go to the next tag. Let's explore one other tag. Let's see. The last one I'll try to explore should be form. So let's try form. All right, because modern day you'd actually have forms being submitted when people come to your website. They want to submit they want to submit information, you want to collect information from them. So how do you use the form tag? So now we have created the form tag. All right, let me use caps. Okay, it's VS Code suggestions that's affecting. So I have my form, so let me have it here. So you can see that it automatically gives you the attribute for action. So let's assume that what I want to be done to this form, or the action I want to be taken, is that I want it to be submitted. All right. So if I was using PHP, I can, find a way to route this, so that it receives or handles that submission. But you don't need to bore your head with that. We just need to focus on how we are using the tags. So there'll be a method. I'm going to add the method attribute to it, and the method I want is post. So the user can come and post data to my end. You come to your website and they post data to your end, right? Okay. So other things you need to still take into consideration. You have your label, because you want to label stuff. You want your user to understand that, okay, in this input or in this tab, I want you to do this. I want you to input that. So let's try to label it. Let me do this again so that VS Code suggests and I can just easily use it. So for what? Let's say the name. Let's collect the name. So it's now inside here that you need to display what you want. So here I will have name. Typo. I have name. So let's scroll and you see how it's being displayed. Don't worry, you get to understand how we use it. So I want to include my input. So that's when you now see things that begin to make sense. So I'm going to use my tab because I wouldn't want to stress myself in typing again. So yeah, I already have it here. So you can see that, the user comes and like, okay, I'm supposed to type my name inside of here. So you can see how, some samples come up. So yeah, that's what the input tag is being used for. You can recap that by seeing the label defines a label for an input element. You can see that we are using the input element here to collect the user's name. So it associates text with a specific form control, like what we are using here. All right. So use this to add text to the form. Okay. So we also have input. Create an input field, collect data from user, like what I explained. All right. So let's say I want more fields. So I will add one more input field. So let me add one more input field. So this break tag may look new to you, but what it does is that it breaks things off and takes it to the next line. All right, that's just what it does. Breaks things off and takes it to the next line. So let's look at let me try again. So I want an input with a type for submit, not text. I want submit. All right, and I would like to still give it a value attribute. So in your free time, you can research some of these attributes and their purpose. Yeah. One of the good things for you being a developer, one thing you must know or learn to do is know how to do research. So let's say I want it to, the value to be submit, and there you go. We're good, right? So the user comes, knows that, so the label already told the user, this is where you type your name. So when I type my name, say I'm the user and I type my name, I can click on this to submit, all right? So this code provides a comprehensive example of the most commonly used HTML tags. So now that you understand how a few of the tags are used, you can try it out. So yes, you can try many of this. You can look up more attributes, search the web, search the internet, and try them as we go. So let's I'll pause my screen. You can try this on your own. I'll pause my screen and you can try this on your own. So try this. What does the doc type HTML declare in an HTML document? The title of the document, the type and version of the document, the main content of the document, the metadata. Try it on your own. I'll give you like 30 seconds. Alright, let's see our answer. If this was your answer, then yay, you're a champ and you've been following through the lessons. Let's try one more. Which tag is used to create the largest heading in an HTML document? I'll just pause so that you can try it on your own, then we'll see the answer together. If this was your answer, you're correct. Well done. I will see you in the next lesson. If you have any questions, you can drop it in the comment section, or you can reach out to your instructor via email, WhatsApp, or any channel that you've been assigned. See ya. Bye.